Good morning, watu wa Kenya. How are you doing? Thank you very much for joining us yet again. It's a beautiful morning today, being it's a Thursday, the 14th of May. The year is 2026. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. We are bit. It's 9:41 a.m. in the morning. It's a good day. It's a beautiful day. A bit cold out here. We must be going up. They say the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. I had to say that. It was itching me. I had to say that. Thank you very much, sana kwa join. This is Tuku Moita. I'll be your host today, as always, as it is going to be moving forward. This is Tuku Moita. Shukrani sana. So today I come with a very heavy heart. First of all, mourning a father, mourning a grandfather, mourning a husband, Dr. Oboka. Dr. Oboka ameleta watoto wengi sana hii dunia. He is one Gaina that has seen so many children into this world. He's consulted for so many hospitals, I think mostly Nairobi Hospital. But for every child that gives birth, there is that name that comes down there, Dr. Oboka. So he's brought life to a lot of human beings in this country. For that, we respect and we are going to honor his memories. And for the wife whom I saw yesterday talking with a very heavy heart, the daughter, the rest of the family, we send our condolences. And I hope the country at large is going to continue treating you with the kind of respect that Daktari deserved. And on behalf of Daktari and on behalf of this organization, Kelele Digital, we say thank you very much for taking care of our children, for delivering, helping our mothers, helping our sisters, helping our daughters deliver in the most decent and then the most safe ways that you deliver as our kids. So for that, we shukuru you very much. We do not want to get to the political side of what happened, but Dr. Oboka is one man that deserves respect and honor. And we duly and very respectfully deliver that through your family, and I hope the rest of the country is going to continue um, providing giving you the same respect that Daktari deserved. So we're going to move straight to our topic for today. The topic for today is generally trying to look at how Gen Zs are moving from what they showed us on the year 2024, that is on June 24th. A lot of people had a lot of hope with the kind of direction that Gen Zs had taken. A tribeless direction, non-political direction. They literally gave some people hope of knowing that this country was moving forward. Some changes happened here and there, but now there's a shift that is taking shape. And most of the countries, what happens with most of the countries is you're going to see this is not the first revolution that has been there. But most of the governments, what they do is they try to either fight the revolutions that normally take shape within their countries, or they try to absorb them. And it's quite unfortunate that the shift in that is taking shape in this country, the government has decided to absorb these so-called Gen Zs. And the Gen Zs were not mainly by age. I know there's that bracket that fits within that generation of Gen Zs, but they awakened a whole lot of other multiple generations who felt that this is something that should happen in this country for equity, for proper resources distribution, for corruption to end in this country, for decent healthcare to happen in this country. all these things that were being packaged within the demonstrations that the Gen Zs held in this country. But not when we get to a point where they're being absorbed by the same government that worked so hard to make sure that they confine certain things within to fit their own pockets. It is quite heartening. There's this one gentleman called Casmel, and I respect Casmel very much. I have never shied away from that fact. And he said the only way to make sure that change happens is to make sure that you're in that table, on that table, making decisions, same as the people who are trying to oppress you. But now there's a distinguishment between you being on the same level and the same table with the decision makers and you making the same decisions that these people have made before and are trying to make moving forward. And there's a certain trend that happens with certain people when elections near, that there's a lot of violence and a lot of tribalism that try to cloud this country. Has happened before. It literally has happened since 1992. And we've seen so much violence in this country, and I was kind of hoping this time around you're going to see some changes in that. Though my heart got very disturbed yesterday when I saw one of the most respected podcast hosts in this country, Juan Jagero and Mr. Odhiambo Otieno, who went live on their streams and made the whole thing a tribal thing. You see, first of all, I would like to pose a question and ask if the whole summit that the president held was it really about one tribe? Because you see, I would love to know, and I've tried reaching out to multiple Kikuyu musicians, and I would love to know anyone who was invited and decided not to show up because of tribal issues. I would really want to know any one musician, any one individual in that circle of creative industry from any one particular community, not necessarily Kikuyu, that was invited and decided to not show up because of their political allegiance. I would really love to know that. I also would want to know within the same discussions that were held in that particular podcast, whom the child was, whom the toy is, and who the father is. Because there was this analogy that was given of a child that is given a toy by the father, and sijui the father did what and the child did what, and that what happened to the toy. I would love to know whom fits within each criteria. The other thing I would want to know from that particular conversation that happened yesterday is why do we need to put everything within tribal clusters? This was a very beautiful thing that was happening in KICC. And if anyone decided not to show up, they probably decided not to show up because of their own individual reservations, which do not reflect in any way to their tribe, their community. So anyone going live and trying to portray how some people are closer to the city, that is why they behave, the country will go forward between. Those are the kind of, I know these are not Jay-Z's, they are quite old people, probably that is why they are clouded with such judgments. But I will say this in reality and in fact. There was one Jay-Z in that conversation, and he asked a very legitimate question. Was it really about one community? Because if you can answer that question, then your clouded judgment would give you a revelation of what was happening within that summit. Because probably I know Probably they did not know what the summit was about. It was about a continent. It was about Pan-Africanism. It wasn't about any one community within Africa. So Gen Z started this movement where they were trying to shift a certain conversation that has moved on in this country, such as that podcast wanted to raise the conversation. And as I said before, most of the governments, normally what they do is, if they are not going to fight certain revolutions, they try and absorb them and try to change the narrative without their own saying. So this is some of the things we are going to see moving forward. Some of these live broadcast, and I was very proud of one PS for broadcasting, that is Mr. Steven, who said there needs to be a distinguishment between propaganda and proper broadcasting, proper live streaming. Because you need to be engaging the public in a more positive manner. Because when you live on air and you have this number, you have these 3 people viewing you, and those 3 people do not really know. There's always that undecided public who do not know exactly where to fall, and they hear you make some comments that probably relate in one way or the other, and they've been treated differently somewhere by someone. Then they connect the treatment they were given to a certain community. Then it gives a very bad vibe to the rest of the country, and you add a population of very hateful people. It is quite wrong. It is very wrong. Some of the things, the only things that matter to us as Kenyans is the cost of living, governance, accountability, corruption, taxes, education, health. Those are all the things, transport, that is logistics. Those are the things that matter to us. What you and your community-based conversations those are not things that really matter to us. What matter to us is the things that needs to keep this country moving forward. We are in the year 2000 and 2026. For 2026 years, there have been lives in this country. It has been going on, it has been revolving. So you're not the first people in this country. Neither are you going to be the last people in this country. There are going to be other generations coming after this. So simply because some people are being diverted, being given resources, being given some certain promises, which I'm not saying they are being offered, but you feel you need to steer up some conversation to a certain direction, while knowing very consciously that those conversations could lead to something not very good, I think it is only better you do not do it. I think it is only right that you do not do it. It is not a good thing. And I really would hope that that conversation would be followed up by an apology. If not an apology, that conversation would be corrected, pulled down, just to show Kenyans that that is not the way we want to move forward as a country. So now, we're going back to the Gen Zs now. Gen Zs who had a plot, Gen Zs who had a plan, Gen Zs who had a vision of changing the whole political balkanization, the whole thing yenye ulikuwa unaenda kwa ballot, then you need to kuchagua suti, then in between huko ndani mnachagua watu wabaya sana simply because you want to elect a party. Those are some of the things we needed to change. Those are some of the things that Gen Zs were looking to change when they were going out into the streets. Some may say that they were betrayed by these Gen Zs. But I will also say something else. And I will quote this one person, Casmuel, because Casmuel, I really respect that young man. Casmuel always has a way of explaining things to people. He made a comment and said, we need to be on that table. Kwa hiyo meza, we need to be there for us to influence change. And that is the best way. And you can see he's going all out trying to get Sifuna's seat, which is, I do not know how that will play out. But at least he's doing something, and he's not creating community wrangles while trying to get there. He's using his own brain to get where he needs to be to make certain changes. He's going back to the books and trying to figure out where the disconnect is so he can come and try to make amendments there to stitch it up, and you as people can make that decision to vote him in where he needs to be to make those changes. He's not going on podcast and trying to make some discussions over how certain communities should be set aside so others can move forward. Or no, he's not trying to do that. He's trying to amend and make that a bridge so everything can connect. And that is how things should be done. That is what we wanted these Gen Zs to do. And that is exactly what Gen Zs should do. So if it is a question of betrayal or political maturity, for me, I would place Casmuel on the political maturity sector. There are others I would place somewhere else, but it is not my point. It is not my place to be placing people here. But I will place Casmuel on that political maturity pedestal, because that is where that platform is where he wants to be, and he knows he wants to be there. So for this one on the right side, this is not betrayal. What we had yesterday on that podcast, that is betrayal. People who are going out preaching and talking so many other things, but they're still using the same old tricks to fight new wars. It doesn't work like that. I wanted us to talk about this economic thing that is going around in this country and how it relates to the Gen Zs, and how the Gen Zs feel that they were betrayed after they went to the street. Yes, I come from that community that was called and titled yesterday. That is why you hear Eros and Aras coming out all the same way. So now, these are climbing in the unemployment in this country. If you go to town and look at most of the joints, the back streets, and some of the places that people go to chill, there's a certain trend that has come up of pombe inapimwa na tu vitu twingine ni shots zile ndogo. One of the things that makes countries go very down economically, it is cheap entertainment. And these young people are moving to cheap entertainment because they have nothing else to do. And these politicians, especially those you call bloggers, are moving around with money, giving these young people to post things that these young people do not want to post. But simply because these young people do not have jobs and they need to make that 1,000 bob, they will post to pocket that 1,000 Kenya shillings. My apologies. I'm getting feedbacks from someone here who's asking a question, and I feel it is only right. Let me ask this question. And he's asked this one question. Please interpret this for us. Many young Kenyans rejected tribalism emotionally, but the political structure rewarding tribal loyalty never disappeared. Was that a statement, Mr. Peter, Ama, was that a question? All the same, I'll tackle that. But today wasn't going to be a very long discussion. I really needed to address that thing from that podcast from yesterday. But I'm going to just give clarifications to this. I think what happened in 2024 had nothing to do with emotion. It gotten to emotion levels to instances where youth felt that this country was taking a very wrong direction. To that instance, even for you, could have gotten emotion because if you have no jobs, if you have no health insurance plans, if you have no food and the rest of the commodities they need to survive, then that gets emotional for you. But the political structure rewarding tribal loyalties for the youth, like you've mentioned, a couple of individuals who've gone on TVs trying to defend these politicians. I feel there are those who feel that they need to align themselves with these political parties, especially these old politicians, for them to get to levels where they can be voted in, ama get to places where they can have influence and make change. But there are others who need just a daily bread. There are some who will defend these politicians simply because they feel if I post this, if I do this, then this politician is going to reward me with 1,000 shillings. And I really need that 1,000 shillings for right now. You trying to align yourself with a political class, it might take you a couple of years for you to actually get elected to a position and insert change. But it is very easy for you to post something and pocket that 1,000 Kenya shillings, which you really need. And the political class knows that. So I think that is where the emotions and the tribal rewarding is. Then there is that class who really just are loyal to something. And that is why I said if these podcasts are going to go all out and trying to paint a picture of something else, because let me say this, and I will give this example mentioning places. Please do not take this in the wrong way. So you have someone in deep between the central region. You have someone who ndani kabisa in Nyanza region. You have someone who ndani in somewhere in Mount Elgon who've never really gotten exposure out here. The only exposure they have is that phone, so they can buy bundles and see what the outside world is looking at things. So when this young man goes to the phone and sees such a conversation of how some communities are very entitled, that is the same thing that is going to be fixated in their heads. This young man is going to hate the other community even without ever having interacted directly with that community. Because quite honestly, if someone who's live on their podcast can make this kind of judgment, and they are from the same community with this young man, so what do you think this young man is going to take direction from? So if you're going to say that this community is so much entitled because of their distance, ama their closeness to the city, that is why they are so entitled, and we can move forward without them. What do you think the young man who's in Mount Elgon, the more young man who's deep in within the Nyanza region, the Mount Kenya region, who's never interacted closely in any way with people from this community, but is now looking on their phones and seeing that there's these people who are very entitled and we can move forward without them? Probably they are going to feel in some very dangerous things in their heads. So please, 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 this is where the loyalty now comes in, because they are learning from the person who is exposed, and with the means to push communication and information directly to them, with them not having even interacted with the rest of the community. So please let us be very careful with how we push information there. When you have this camera in front of you, when you have this mic in front of you, do not misuse it simply because you want to get a few numbers. So I felt that was a very wrong way, a very wrong decision, a very wrong direction to take. And that is why we did this show today. We are just here to put caution to people out there. There is no one in this country that is more entitled than the other. This is a country for all of us. We have fitted into it. There's so much space. Hata tumeacha huko nje. Some areas you'll drive in this country and you'll drive for probably 2 hours without seeing any housing. So that is enough space for us. So let us not give information to other people over how there is someone else who's more entitled than them and this country can move forward without them. My brother, people have mouths and they can talk. They only choose not to. And really, if there is any one, and I will not say this is centralized to Kikuyu, and I will mention it again. If there is any one member of the creative industry that was invited to the event at KICC but did not attend because of their tribal allegiance, please, we would want to know them. And if Mr. Odhiambo Otieno and Jagero have any information of such people, we would like to know why they did not event it, because that event was a Pan-African event. It wasn't for any one individual. That was a Pan-African event, an event that was bringing close all the African countries to make decisions on their own. And that is a point that the president put across, and he said it very clearly. So I don't think there is any one person that was invited and did not show up because of their tribal allegiance. This was not about a tribe. This was not about a community. It was about Pan-Africanism. So that is it for us today. We say thank you very much for joining us. We say thank you very much for being with us. So let us use these tools. These reaching out tools, the communication tools, they are very good. Social media is one of the things I say was a brilliant thing to bring in this world. If there is ever anything called genius in this world, was the social connection. So let us not misuse it. Let us not use it to mislead people. Let us not use it to take people into civil misunderstanding. It is not a good thing for us. Let us bring reforms into these social spaces. Let us bring equality. Let us bring sanity. Let us all be lucid. If you're going to use the camera, please make sure you're very lucid before you use, and very sober before you use the camera. It is one space that can be of damage. It is one space that can be of a very good thing. It's a powerful tool. So thank you very much for us. We didn't have much for today. That was it for today. See you. Enjoy your Thursday. We meet again tomorrow morning and we continue kuchambua magazeti. Thank you very much. Leo hatukuwaletea magazeti. It's already too late. 9 a.m. 10 a.m. I believe everyone alikuwa amejisomea gazeti. But tomorrow morning we continue with our magazeti kuchambua. See you then.